Welcome to Stokastic's MLB Live Before Lock. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with Adam Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And this show is sponsored by SoRare MLB, which is a collection of digital trading cards and an NFT-based free-to-play baseball game. We will talk about SoRare a little bit later on. I'm actually currently in position to potentially win a prize this week on SoRare MLB, Adam. So pretty excited about that. But by the way, guys, while you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. So this might be my first time winning a limited card on SoRare, Adam, with that lineup that we made on the show earlier in the week with the little Coors stack, a couple Dodgers guys in there. So we'll see. We'll see if it goes. McClanahan did his part. Strider let me down a little bit. But anyway, how are you doing today, Adam?
Doing well. Dragging a little bit. I don't know. Feels earlier than usual for some reason, but got coffee, so we'll be good.
Yeah, I was just telling Adam before the show, my allergies are kicking my ass this morning. Just had trouble falling asleep. Have you ever had the feeling like you're going to sleep and you feel like you need to sneeze? I felt like all of last night like I needed to sneeze and just couldn't. And it was not quite cold enough in my bedroom. Just everything was just a little bit off, and it took me a long time to fall asleep last night. So when I woke up to my alarm this morning, I was just did not want to be awake. Starting to get there. I took a Zyrtec, hoping that'll help a little bit. But not allergies, not a lot of fun. We have, this is a live before lock. We actually are not going quite up until lock. We're just going for the next hour, and then you'll have an hour to set your lineups after that. Adam, we've got a 9-game slate here starting at 12:05 Central Time. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah. 9-game day slate. Sign me up.
Yeah, love a good day slate. I just wanted to sneak in Central Time there after our time zone debates yesterday. I had to give the time in Central Time, which is, of course, the center of the universe, as we all know. All right. Are you ready? Any overview of this slate that you want to talk about, or do you just want to jump in game by game?
It's another core slate, so you're going to have that, ownership decision to make. Doesn't look like we have any majorly pressing weather concerns right now, so that's good.
Nice.
Weather looks a little bit warmer. It's a day slate, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's beautiful in Minnesota today. We're gonna get like 70 degrees today. I'm enjoying it. Okay. This is def going to lock. No, this isn't. We cannot go to lock because I actually have another show between this and lock. All right, first game of this slate, we have the Chicago Cubs at the Washington Nationals. Jameson Taillon on the mound for the Cubs. Patrick Corbin for the Nationals. Adam, are you playing either of these pitchers?
Corbin, certainly not particularly interesting here. And then you have Taillon coming back from the injured list. David Ross was asked how many pitches they planned on him throwing. His answer was 200. Assuming that, that's not the case, I'm expecting 5 innings or so from Taillon. Not somebody I really think I would be getting to on a 9-game slate. So not really interested in the pitching.
Okay. Does this lock in an hour? Am I wrong? I was thinking lock is in
always 105. Yeah, it's 105.
Oh, so it does start. Okay, my bad. Yeah, this is going up. This is going just up until I thought there was a little gap today. My mistake. Yes, guys, you're gonna have to set your.
I thought you just meant that we were stopping like 5 minutes before lock.
Yeah. I was thinking that lock was an hour later than it actually is. I got confused about the timing. Yeah, you guys are right. DK does lock right. 5 minutes after the end of the show. So I don't have a show between this and lock. Good call there. Okay. How about the bats? Cubs, Nationals, any interest in the bats?
Yeah, definitely. Corbin, not a very good pitcher anymore and gives up plenty of power. So it sets up pretty nicely for the Cubs here. Horner, Swanson, Suzuki all look good. Patrick Wisdom hitting 6th today, so a nice lineup bump for him. On the Nat side, tough to get there. One of the weaker offenses in baseball. Taillon's not a bad pitcher. Obviously, you have some increased volatility just with him coming back from the injured list. But outside of, pointing to somebody like Luis Garcia as a decent value play, I don't really see anything from the Nats, but I do like the Cubs.
Okay. With that in mind, how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Cubs bats 1. I guess Nats bats 2. Taillon 3. Corbin 4.
All right. Mets at Tigers. We have Justin Verlander on the mound for the Mets. Eduardo Rodriguez for the Tigers. Revenge game for Justin Verlander. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Verlander coming back from the injured list, 10,800. Not really sure I can get there, given that this is his first start of the season. He went 4 2/3 through 69 pitches, in his most recent rehab outing. So I doubt you're getting enough pitches to really feel comfortable with him at 10-8. Now it is the Tigers. He could certainly just carve them up for 5 innings and still give you, 20 plus fantasy points. If you get to win, you're at like 24. There's still a path to him doing decent, but it is tough just given that he's likely to be somewhat limited here. Rodriguez going up against the Mets, decent pitcher, tough matchup. I don't have a ton of interest there. Right now, Rodriguez pulling 4% ownership, 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Verlander pulling 21% ownership. That seems high to me.
You think it's just a name recognition thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking now to see where we have him projected. So we have Verlander projected for 15.4 DraftKings points. So it's not like we over projected him or anything. I don't know.
Might be
Maybe
based on other
sites,
projections.
yeah, maybe other sites have him over projected. Maybe that number comes down. Maybe it's simply a function of there's not a lot of good pitching on this slate. So if you get 22 from Verlander, it still works. But I kind of expect that number to come down.
Yeah, I would too. That seems high for a pretty limited pitcher. Any interest in the bats here?
Not on the Tiger side. Verlander still you expect to be good. Tigers still are not. Mets are somewhat interesting. Rodriguez isn't a bad pitcher, but you do just have a good offense for the Mets. They're coming in the middle of the pack in terms of top stack percentage, but they are only pulling 3% ownership, 5% chance of being the top stack. So they do look like a decent team to get to just from a low ownership standpoint. And you hope Rodriguez doesn't have his best stuff.
Okay. And then how would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Either Verlander or Mets 1, Mets or Verlander 2, Rodriguez 3, Tigers 4.
I feel like we need to start tracking our home run picks because I feel like at least your win rate is absolutely. I never remember who I pick, but I feel like we've done pretty well with the home run picks. As we were discussing yesterday, we need more hot takes from you because every time you actually give a take, when I force you with the home run picks, the top stacks, etc., it seems to do fairly well.
Yeah, I need to bet those more. I've only bet my home run pick once this year and it failed. But
maybe we should stop.
I think I've hit at a ridiculously unsustainable rate so far.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe we should stop going game by game and just give home run picks the whole show. Just name all the one-offs who are going to hit home runs.
Yeah, I think about that like every slate that they start hitting home runs. And I'm like, why didn't I just put all these guys in a lineup?
Yeah, when you nail it. All right, I had to refresh. We got a couple lineups. We got the Brewers lineup in early, so that's nice.
That means I can start building lineups now. I don't really care about the rest of those lineups, but I needed the Coors one.
Yeah, that's definitely an important one. All right, Pittsburgh at Tampa Bay. We have Vince Velasquez on the mound for the Pirates, Zach Eflin for the Rays. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Not interested in Velasquez going up against the Rays. Just not a good pitcher anymore. And then obviously a very tough matchup. As far as Eflin goes, it's still tough to get there at 9,100 because the Rays have just been really, really cautious with him. You had the trip to the injured list a few weeks ago, but since returning, 67 pitches in 5 innings, 74 pitches in 5 innings. It's not like he's free. He's kind of like just a cheaper Verlander to me. Not saying he's as good as Verlander, but I do expect a good year from Eflin, given that the Rays went out of their way to make sure that they acquired him. And typically Tampa Bay knows what they're doing when they do something like that. But it's just hard to see him going deep enough into this game that I really want him at 9,100. He's pulling 10% ownership, 13% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So, again, with it being a relatively weak pitching slate, if you land on some Eflin here and there, it's fine. But keep in mind that it's very unlikely you're getting, 7-8 innings out of this guy, no matter how well he's pitching.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely limited upside there. What about the bats in this one?
Tampa looks good. They always look good. They're in Tropicana, so that hurts. But Velasquez is nowhere near the pitcher he used to be. And even in the past, he wasn't a great pitcher. He was just a pitcher that would strike out a lot of guys and give up power. This year, he's actually been okay, but that hasn't really been the case for him in previous seasons. Going back to the start of last year, 210 expected ISO allowed to righties, 171 to lefties. Doesn't strike me as a spot where he's likely to have a lot of success. No Brandon Lau today, so you do get a little bit of a watered-down Tampa Bay lineup. That hurts. But you still have Diaz in the lineup. You have Franco, Rosarania, Josh Lowe. Those guys all look pretty good. I feel like they're missing one other guy that you normally like as well. But the top of the order at least still looks pretty good.
Okay. So I just got a question from Ryan Reenbohm. Eflin or Lopez on FanDuel, single entry. You were saying that Eflin is likely limited in terms of pitch count, right?
Yeah, I would lean Lopez just because I think I don't know that obviously, like at some point this year, Eflin probably does go 6 innings. But based on the way they've handled him in his 2 starts since returning, I'm not confident that he has like any chance of getting a quality start.
Right. And that's especially important on FanDuel where you...
Right.
Yeah, more innings is better. So yeah, I would lean Lopez if you're deciding between those two.
Yeah, I mean, in his 4 starts this year, even prior to the injury, so he's gone 5 innings 3 times, talking about Eflin, 5
Yep.
innings 3 times, 6 innings once. But even that 6-inning start, he only threw 82 pitches. So you're very much playing with fire in terms of trying to get that quality start, but it also has an impact on the win because, like, obviously you have to go 5 innings to qualify for a win. But if Eflin is going to just go 5 innings, then you need Tampa Bay to be ahead, after 5 and never give it up. At least if you have an opportunity to go 6 or 7, that's getting you deeper into the game. Like, if, it's a 1-1 game through 5 or something, you can, get those couple of extra innings to get your team ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Rays bats 1, Eflin 2, Pirates bats 3, and Velasquez 4.
Okay. Danny says, been seeing a lot of no stack lineups winning lately. I have not noticed that trend lately. I mean, it does happen sometimes. Like from time, there are enough like non-stacked lineups in any given GPP that they're going to win from time to time. You're just giving yourself better odds if you are stacked. So I think you'd think like if the number of non-stacked lineups win, they win at a lower rate than you would expect, given how many there are in the GPP in general. I mean, they certainly can win, as we talked about. If you just pick all the right home run hitters, can win. It's just more difficult to get it right if you don't stack. All right. Do you have anything you want to add?
I'll probably forget by the time we get to the Minnesota game, so I'll answer it now. No, I'm not particularly concerned about Pablo Lopez's velocity drop. He started out the year throwing a lot harder than normal. Now he's kind of just like back to where he normally is. He averaged 94 miles per hour on his fastball in his last start, 93.8 the start before that. His first 4 starts of the year, he was 95 plus. But if you go back to last season, he averaged 93.5 miles per hour on his fastball. So him coming in now at 94 isn't concerning to me.
Okay. AH says the producer who doesn't go live on Twitch is a failure, can play the pod in the background, can't through YouTube. Shout out to the non-NBA producer or something. I don't know what that means exactly.
I have no idea what that means.
I'm the producer of this show technically, but I don't do anything setting it up. It's basically a click of the button for me. Adam sees how easy. I mean, I just go in and have to like click on a couple buttons and go live. It automatically goes to YouTube. So if this one goes out to Twitch, it is I can't take credit for that. It's the people who set it up for me. If it doesn't go out to Twitch, then I'm going to blame them also. maybe I could suggest it if it doesn't. Anyway, Angels at Cardinals. We have Griffin Canning on the mound for the Angels, Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals. Adam, any interest in these pitchers?
A little bit, just because they're inexpensive and pitching on this slate isn't great. Canning coming in at 3% owned, 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. The Cardinals have a lot of name value in their lineup, but they have been awful so far this season from a team standpoint. They do still have a 4.7 implied run total. I'm not confident in Canning, but the lack of ownership is somewhat appealing against a struggling Cards team so far this year. So Canning missed last year. He has been decent so far in his major league career, but so far this year, striking out 24% of righties and 24% of lefties. He's had some power issues to righties, but we're talking about a very limited sample. If you go back to the 2021 season, 25.5% strikeout percentage to righties, 19.5% to lefties, 24% and 22% respectively since 2020. He has always had some power issues. So, again, I don't trust him. It's not a safe spot, but he's not getting any ownership. He's cheap, and pitching on the slate leaves a lot to be desired. On the other side, Flaherty is a really tough pitcher because he used to be really good. Then he had some injuries. Now he's kind of just been not great, but not bad. But he's only 7,600. So there is certainly reason to be interested there. 24.5% strikeout percentage to righties so far this year, 23.5% to lefties. 151 expected ISO to righties is fine. 175 to lefties. A little bit elevated, but nothing too crazy there. So maybe starting to get back to form a little bit. He's pulling 24% ownership. I don't really have any issue with that. We have him projected 16% to be a top 2 scoring pitcher, but also 17% to be a top 2 value at that price tag. It's not the safest matchup against the Angels. You do have Ohtani, but no Mike Trout in the lineup makes it a bit better for Flaherty as well.
Definitely. And then with no Mike Trout.
Brett Phillips batting 9th is also a free strikeout.
Nice. Okay. So then what's your level of interest in the bats here?
Some interest in the Cards just because of the power issues that Canning has. Again, they've been not very good this year, but you do still have plenty of name value in this lineup, Goldschmidt, Arenado in particular, but Contreras has power, O'Neill has power, Gorman is a highly regarded hitting prospect. So there is still plenty of upside here, even though they have struggled. They're, as a stack, projected for about 7% ownership, 5% chance of being the top stack. So a little bit over-owned, but there is certainly upside there. As far as the Angels go, they're not getting much ownership at 2%. And that makes it somewhat appealing when you have Ohtani, Renfroe, Rendon in a lineup. But the lineup isn't as strong as usual. Trout missing is obviously a huge piece of this lineup. So not too interested in the Angels.
Okay. And then how would you rank the four sides of this game?
Flaherty 1, Cards 2, Canning 3, Angels 4.
All right. T-Bird asking, what did Adam say about the Royals? We haven't gotten there yet. We will get to that game up
we
next.
know that if you can figure out how to put up a graphic, Neil.
That's fair criticism. A lot of criticism of the producer today. Adam, do you want to take over as the producer of this show? I think you'd be great at it. I mean, you could it wouldn't even take any training. I think you could do it. But yeah,
I think brains would literally explode if I went into a meeting and was like, "Hey guys, I want to do some producing."
yeah. I think I'd be more likely to than you to suggest that. I mean, I didn't say I wanted to produce. I just was asked, could you do it? I was like, probably. Like, Jordan trained me in like 30 seconds. Very easy when you're not doing the graphics and stuff. All right. That game is up next. Baltimore at Kansas City Royals. But first, let me tell you a little bit about our sponsor, SoRare MLB. Here we get this. Okay, yes, got it on the screen. My lineup right now, doing okay here. Currently in position to win this Tier 4 limited card, which I have no idea who would be in Tier 4. Hopefully somebody I want, but currently in 174th place out of 2,289 after both pitchers have gone. Need Ryan McMahon to turn it around with his -4 fantasy points, not helping me out a lot. But guys, again, if you do want to sign up for SoRare, let me get you the link real quick. If you want to sign up for SoRare, you don't have to spend money right away when you sign up. If you want to just dip your toes in, kind of see if you enjoy it, there's a free way to play. You just join SoRare. They will give you the option of a number of different common cards. So the common cards are not numbered or anything. You can't sell them. They're not like immediately. You can't just like sign up and get the free common cards and sell them, but you can use them to enter contests where you can win these limited cards. You can win real money. Really, really fun way to start playing some fantasy sports where it is free to enter with these common cards. And then you can acquire more common cards by winning them in contests. You can make a swap every day. Man, Larry says I got an Ohtani last week on SoRare. You mean you won an Ohtani, Larry, or you bought one? That's very a useful card to have. That Ohtani. I just posted the link in chat, by the way, if you're interested in signing up for SoRare. But again, these I'll show you the common contests. Another fun way to play, and even in these common contests. So these are with the free cards that you get when you sign up. You can win a bunch of these limited cards. The contests that I play that actually do cost money, so you can. Doesn't cost you anything to sign up. You can win cards that you could then either build up to be able to play in the limited contest, or you could sell them. They're worth real money. So fun way to dip your toes in for free on SoRare. I think that this is the future of DFS, this kind of way to play where you're buying the cards, and then those cards are multi-use. You get to use them for the rest of a player's career, and it doesn't cost anything to enter the contest. Once you have the cards, of course, you have to, outside of the common ones, you do have to buy or win the cards, so that costs some money. But then to actually enter the contest with those cards, it's free to enter once you have the cards. As long as you have the cards, you can use them. And these are, of course, single entry contests. Every single one of these, people can only play one lineup in them, so it's an even playing field relative to DFS, where you're sometimes competing against people playing 150 lineups. Here, every contest is single entry, so really fun way to play, to test your ability to play some fantasy sports against the rest of the field. Really fun way to play. So check out SoRare MLB. Again, the link is in the description here. All right, moving back to the slate. Next game up is that Royals game. We have the Baltimore Orioles at the Kansas City Royals. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound for the Orioles. Jordan Lyles for the Royals. Adam, what's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Extremely high in Grayson Rodriguez, not extremely high in Jordan Lyles. Rodriguez is third in top 2 pitcher percentage. Price tag has started to come up. He's up to $8,300, but this is the top pitching prospect in baseball, and he's warranted this increase in salary. He's made 5 starts at the major league level so far. Only 24 and a third innings pitched. You would like to see that number come up, certainly, but he's striking out 32.5% of hitters so far. He has walked 10.5% of hitters. You need that number to come down. There are still certainly some flaws here, but this is a pitcher with really, really good stuff, has the ability to rack up strikeouts. He's in a favorable pitcher's park in Kansas City. The Royals lineup, isn't a cakewalk, especially at the top, dealing with Witt and Pasquantino, followed by Perez, but Rodriguez has really good stuff. You could probably argue that amongst the, non Verlander, who's limited pitchers on this slate, that he has the best stuff. Gossman, I guess would be in the conversation, but really, really, really good stuff for Rodriguez. Very, very talented pitcher. I'm happy to get there at 8,300. As far as Lyles goes, not a lot of strikeouts. Tough matchup against the Orioles as well. They were shut out for the first time all year yesterday by Zach Greinke, because it's baseball, and obviously that's what was going to happen. But not interested in going to Lyles unless you buy into the revenge narrative thing.
Pablo Lopez actually has better stuff too than Grayson Rodriguez. I think you forgot Pablo Lopez there.
I do like Pablo Lopez, but let's not get crazy.
All right. How about the stacks in this Baltimore versus Kansas City game?
Yeah, I like the Baltimore side. 5.5 implied run total. Lyles is basically just an innings eater that isn't great at pitching. 197 expected ISO to righties since last year, 200 to lefties. So far this year, 217 to lefties, 326 to righties. He's somebody that certainly benefited from pitching in Camden Yards last year. It did a very good job of mitigating the home runs to left field from right-handed hitters. Kauffman Stadium is favorable for pitching, but you still don't have a 370-foot green monster essentially in left field. So home runs are a bit easier to hit. It looks good for the Orioles. Mountcastle, we talked about him a lot recently. Hitting the hell out of the ball, just hasn't seen it turn into results yet. Rutschman is always going to be one of your best catcher options. Mullins is great, but those guys are expensive. But then you can also offset that because you have Kyle Stowers batting 5th at 2,100. He's got power. Adam Frazier at 2,400, second base outfield is, you can use him. Not the most exciting hitter, but you can use him to offset some of the salary that you're spending on the actual good hitters here. Mateo's hitting 7th at 5,100. Again, huge upside for him. Power, stolen base upside.
5,100 for the 7-hole.
Yeah, like it's expensive, but the ceiling is certainly there. I'm surprised he's hitting as low as he is with how he's played this year, but
yeah.
That's not here nor there. Gunnar Henderson gives you upside. He's cheap, batting 8th. He hasn't been super productive from a fantasy standpoint this year. He's not hitting great. He's walking at a ridiculous clip. It's almost there was an article I saw yesterday. I didn't dig into the article yet, but I saw the headline and knew what the gist of it was going to be. Sort of talking about how Henderson's part of the reason Henderson was able to rise through the minor leagues so quickly was that he very quickly picked up the Orioles basically strategy on swing decisions and, what pitches you should be swinging at, what pitches you shouldn't be. And now it's almost like he's taken it too far and he's not swinging at good pitches early in the count, which is making it so he's not hitting very well, but he's also getting deep in the counts. So he's walking a ton. Not ideal for DFS, but this is still somebody that has a lot of power, has a lot of speed. Sooner than later, this guy's going to start raking. And so in tournaments, still think he's fine. So yeah, really like the Orioles here. As far as the KC side, I think it's more so getting to, Witt, Pasquantino, Perez. You can certainly mix in some Melendez and Prado.
Okay. Citizen X47 says, okay, but 5,100 for the potential MVP. Exactly. I don't see that. That's not a real thing, right? He's not.
If Mateo were to actually, if the improvements that Mateo has made as a hitter for the first month of the year are actual improvements, I think he finishes top 5.
Wow.
But I also don't think they're actual improvements.
Okay.
So at least to the extent that we've seen so far. His strikeout percentage is basically cut in half from last year. His walk percentage is higher than last year. Those are both things that stabilize pretty quickly and signal a legitimate change and that he is likely to be a better hitter. But he has a 168 WRC plus so far this year. 288 ISO. That stuff's not holding. But if it did, you're talking about an elite base runner, elite base stealer, gold glove caliber shortstop that suddenly is also one of the best hitters in baseball. Yeah, he'd be top 5.
Okay. So probably some regression coming here. He has probably made real improvements, but there's at least going to be at least some regression.
He's likely to level off as a league average hitter, which still makes him valuable because he's a great defender and arguably the fastest guy in baseball. So he's valuable, but I don't expect him to just be this, unbelievable hitter that he's been.
Yeah, right. What does he have to do to get moved out of that side? Could it be a comfort thing? I feel like that was the case with Byron Buxton for a while, the Timberwolves or the Twins for a while.
Possible. It's also the Orioles are a team that buys heavily into advanced data. They're not viewing him as a guy that's actually going to maintain this. He has been hitting 5th against lefties, so I think this is also just matchup based. But I'm still kind of surprised. I'm not surprised Stowers is hitting 5th given the power he has. I'm just surprised that they went Frazier ahead of Mateo. But for me, I would go Mateo 6, Henderson 7, Frazier 8. But also, who really cares?
Right. All right, how would you rank the four sides of this game?
Grayson 1, Baltimore bats 2, KC 3, Lyles 4.
She squealed caught that I was starting to say Timberwolves. Yeah, and when I joke that Pablo Lopez has better stuff than Grayson Rodriguez, I don't actually care. Like Timberwolves, I actually like have that level of homerism where like I get pissed off when people are like down on Ant, that kind of thing. Twins, I honestly I don't really care all that much. I cheer for them. I want them to be good, but like I don't have like really strong takes on like Twins versus other players the way I do with Timberwolves, where I let my homerism actually affect me. Speaking of Adam, that is the next game up here. Twins at White Sox. We've got Pablo Lopez on the mound for the Twins, Lucas Giolito for the White Sox. Any interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, both of them look pretty good here. $7,400 price tag on Giolito. Just getting a little bit crazy. Obviously he is not the same pitcher he was a couple of years ago. We saw that last year. So far this year, a 28% strikeout percentage to lefties, only 20% to righties, but he has held righties to a 138 expected ISO, while lefties have a 230 expected ISO. Since last year, 22% K percentage to righties, 29% to lefties. The drop in salary has just gotten a little bit extreme here. It's not my favorite team to take pitchers against because they do have a pretty deep lineup with a lot of good hitters. But at 7,400, certainly willing to roll the dice on Giolito on a slate with pretty questionable pitching. He's getting 26% ownership, 18% chance of being a top two pitcher. On the other side, Lopez going up against the White Sox at 9,900. 19% chance of being a top two pitcher, 17% ownership, only a 7% chance of being a top two value. That's a very healthy price tag for a good but not great pitcher in Lopez. So, if you get there, sure. Like if you're stacking a cheap team and you just have the money for Pablo Lopez, great. We have him projected as the highest scorer on the main slate, highest scoring pitcher on the main slate. So, no problem with that. But I think more often than not, I'm going to end up just going to mid-range guys like Rodriguez, Giolito, Kirby, they're Flaherty. They're just a little bit less expensive.
Okay, Josh Play says, just put a bet on Mateo to win MVP. Thanks, Adam.
I didn't know that was even listed. I actually looked the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah, not that I would have ever bet it. I'm curious what the line was.
Depending on what, yeah, obviously depends on the line.
I do know the main takeaway that I got when I looked to see if they had Mateo odds listed, at least at the time I looked, Adley Rutschman had the fourth best odds to be American League MVP.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was Ohtani, Trout, Judge, and then Rutschman. And I think Judge and Rutschman might have been the same.
Okay, yeah. Michael asking for a top 3 arms for cash games. We will talk about that as well later on. All right. What do you have any interest in the bats in this Twins White Sox game?
Not a ton. It kind of just comes down to like, the Twins have good hitters. They still have a reasonable 4.2 implied run total. You have a bunch of ownership coming into Giolito. If you want to just sort of roll the dice and take a chance on some good hitters here, 4% ownership coming into the Twins, 4.5% chance of being the top stack. There is some upside there, but nothing that stands out to me as far as bats go.
Okay. Apparently it's plus 20,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah,
Mateo.
I mean, that's still probably too low, but
yeah, interesting. All right. Can you rank the 4 sides of this Twins game?
Giolito 1, Lopez 2, factoring in salary. Giolito 1, Lopez 2, Twins 3, White Sox 4.
Yeah. Ryan Remo says that I'm a homer about the central time zone as well. Just like the Timberwolves. Yeah, central time zone. Don't get me started. No, I don't actually care about the time zone thing either. It's fun to talk about sometimes. I had the idea of posting the poll yesterday about who has the best like top 10 DFS players, which time zone has the most profitable. And I have no idea. People like thought that I might know the answer. I was like, I don't even know where half the pros live. So it's all just like a lot of speculation.
Yeah. Also good. And I saw you say it. Good luck at having any actual idea how much or if like these super high volume guys, how much money they make or if they make money.
Like I'm sure there are people like you see them win $2 million over the course of the year and they've lost money that year because they play such high volume. Yeah, it's
right.
We don't know. Yeah,
right. Like I my first question to you was, does Yoda still live in New York City?
Right.
But like even him, like I'm pretty confident he's making money.
Right.
But the dude's also said it on, I think, on the Levitan podcast, like in the NFL he's playing like $100,000 to $500,000 a day. Like
right.
You see these big wins, but a few losing weeks in a row is a huge chunk of money.
Yeah, exactly. And then Alvin Demiri says East Coast definitely. I mean, has the most. I didn't actually know that how populous it was relative. It sounds like it's much more populated than any of the other time zones. So it does seem likely.
We have New York City and Boston. So
Right. Yeah. And of course, Baltimore.
Right, right. Yeah, like my guess. So in that poll, I think I don't remember if I voted Pacific or Mountain, just because like my immediate response was like thinking of all the good players that I know live in Denver or that I know live in San Diego.
Right.
But I think it's just based on the population of the East Coast. There's probably so many guys that are really, really good that I just don't realize live somewhere on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I just don't know where they live. Yeah, plenty of great players that I have no idea what the geography is. I intentionally did just the top 10 in each time zone because I thought it was a more interesting
Yeah,
conversation. Obviously, any time zone, if you add everybody, every time zone is going to be a losing. Like it's not going to be a positive
right.
profit. So, yeah. We got Hofbrauking says that he lives in Texas. So win one for Central Standard Time in Hofbrauking. Love to hear that. All right. So next up we have you already ranked the four sides. Yeah, you did. Okay. We got a Coors game. Milwaukee at Colorado. Wade Miley on the mound for the Brewers. Connor Siebold for the Rockies. Playing any pitchers in Coors today?
Don't really see the need to. I did play a bunch. So on the I registered the 2-game night slate yesterday, and then totally forgot I'd even registered it. Like 9:15, I got on my computer to do something, and was just like, "What is this? Oh shit!" Like I just have a random dummy train. It happened to have Kyle Freeland in it, who pitched great. But outside of accidentally rostering pitchers in cores, I don't see a reason to really do it today. And with these two, certainly not. Again, this isn't Freddie Peralta where you have like a legit strikeout pitcher. Wade Miley pitches to contact. Connor Siebold is not someone I'm rostering in cores. 6.6 implied run total for Milwaukee, 5.4 for the Rockies. This one's about the bats for me. Even if you're not going to the bats, I don't see a reason to go to the pitching.
Yep, makes sense. Ship Happens asks who lives in Denver. So Steve Buzzard, the Colts lives
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Denver.
if we're doing profit over the last week, I'm definitely taking Mountain Time Zone.
Mountain Time Zone absolutely crush it. Nerdy Tenor lives there. Shrek lives there. I feel like there's Chipotle lives there, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Chipotle lives there, Chipotle Addict, and then I think one of the I know DC lives there. I mean, he's not a huge volume player. I feel like there's at least one other. Oh,
I feel like there's somebody else
Baronosaurus Rex lives there,
Yeah, he does.
or Baronosaurus Flex. I think that there's probably more as well around that area that I'm just not thinking of.
Denver's definitely one of the spots that like because like one of the nice things about playing DFS, if you don't have family obligations, like that you need to be close to people, you can just live wherever the hell you want.
Right.
And Denver's been one of the spots. Like it was Nashville for a while, where like a bunch of DFS players were moving there. Then a bunch of them moved to San Diego, and a bunch recently have moved to Denver.
Right. Trey McCall says Makasupa maybe lives in Denver also. Yeah,
That sounds right. Levitan lives there, but he's not a high volume player.
Does Ryan Stubbs ask, does Wilson live in Denver?
Wilson lives in Dallas.
Okay. All right. Yeah, a lot of great players in there. I mean, also you didn't even mention Chicago. I'm like, well, half of the like Stokastic behind the scenes people live in Chicago. Brick 75 lives in Chicago. Also a very, very strong city there.
Yep.
All right. How about the bats? Milwaukee, Colorado. Sounds like you probably have some interest in the Coors bats.
Yeah, always. It just comes down to ownership. Once again, Milwaukee is projected not to be over-owned, but still to be double the ownership of everyone else. So it's not a spot where I think you need to look at it and just like automatically stay away, especially because they are still really cheap. Highest or second highest top value percentage, highest top stack percentage, more than 2x Baltimore, who's in second. I will say that I still haven't been getting to much Milwaukee recently. I've just been I've been getting a good amount of Colorado because they've been coming in so much lower owned. So it's not, I still don't view this as like you have to play Milwaukee. They're still getting a ton of ownership, but I'm also not looking at it as like they're over owned because I don't think that they are. So overall, it sets up as a really good spot. And it just comes down to, do you prefer lineups where you need to find some contrarian pitching, contrarian secondary stacks, or do you prefer being able to play, whatever pitchers you want and just get to other good stacks like, Colorado or the Cubs or the Orioles or whoever it may be.
Okay, so you're Milwaukee. Did you mention your level of interest in Colorado as well?
So I like Colorado in tournaments. I think in cash games you're going to see Milwaukee bats showing up more because they're cheaper. They're facing Connor Siebold. They have a 6.5 implied run total. On the other side, though, you only have 7% projected ownership coming into the Rockies against Miley. 9% chance of being the top stack is third. 10.5% top value percentage is also third. Looking at stack score, which is that metric we have in the top stacks tool that combines top stack percentage and top value, Colorado is second. It's Milwaukee won by a mile, and then Colorado second. So I've been getting to Colorado a lot recently anyway. I think on slates where I'm not really sure if I'm going to get to them. I haven't built lineups yet, but I'm more confident today than I have been in previous days that I'll be getting to the Rockies.
Okay. And then how would you rank the four sides of this game?
Brewers 1, Rockies 2, Miley 3, Seabold 4, I guess.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter with the pitchers. You're just not going there.
Yeah. I will not be thrilled if I land on Coors pitching.
Courtney Crump says, I sure hope none of those people he mentions have ops because the low has been dropped. I don't know these people personally. This isn't like me.
Their addresses. And...
Right. This is all pretty out there, open, common knowledge where these people live. So
yeah, I was gonna say, all of this has been the only reason I know this is because I see stuff for most of them. See stuff on Twitter, and it just clicks in my mind like, oh, that person also lives in Denver, or oh, that person also lives in San Diego.
Right. Yeah. Not like secret information we're giving away here. People are pretty open about this stuff.
Although if I could find their addresses, it would make tournaments easier.
Go on. Next game we have actually before the next game, let me tell you guys about a great deal that we have from BetMGM. We've had this deal going on this week. It is a phenomenal deal, 2 phenomenal deals in one. Essentially, you can get up to $1,000 back paid in bet credits on your first bet. So if you bet $1,000 on BetMGM, you can, and you don't win the bet, you will get $1,000 paid back in bet credits. So you'll be able to keep betting. If you do win, of course, you're not going to get that money. You're just going to get the payout of your bet. So make sure you're making a bet that has a chance to win you some real money. But it's a fantastic deal. And on top of that, you get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum when you sign up using the link in the description of this video or using promo code Platinum Sub. Really fantastic deal here. If you are in a legal betting state and you don't yet have a BetMGM account, make sure that you go to BetMGM using the link in the description of this video to take advantage of this offer. Because, I mean, what could be better? It's a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. That's like $120 value that you get just for free on top of the deal where you're getting up to $1,000 paid back in bet credits. Now, to be clear, if you put in $10, you're not going to get $1,000 back. It's going to be matching whatever you put in and bet up to $1,000. But still, fantastic deal there. Of course, the legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Highly recommend signing up for BetMGM using the link in the description because, again, you get 2 fantastic deals in one. But you need to use the link in the description or use the promo code Platinum Sub because otherwise we have no way of tracking you. We're not going to be able to get you that free month. So make sure you are using that link in the description of this video. All right, Seattle at Oakland. Adam, we have George Kirby on the mound for Seattle. Drew Rucinski for the A's. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Definitely interested in Kirby. Not particularly interested in Rucinski, but Kirby's coming in 5th in top 2 pitcher percentage. He's 8,800, so you're getting a little bit of a discount off of Pablo Lopez. 30.5% ownership makes him the highest projected owned pitcher on the slate. You're just getting, the Oakland Coliseum or whatever the hell it's called now against one of the weaker offenses in baseball. Kirby's a solid young pitcher for Seattle. 23.7% strikeout percentage since the start of last year for Kirby. 2.92 FIP, 3.44 xFIP, 3.5% walk percentage. So not somebody that you typically need to worry about driving up his pitch count unnecessarily or putting a bunch of extra guys on base. Just a solid arm. And, as much as you can ever feel confident in pitching, you should feel pretty confident in Kirby. On the other side, Rucinski, not a pitcher I'm looking to get to here.
All right. And what about the bats?
The Mariners bats are somewhat interesting. Rucinski, somebody we don't have much data on. He spent a couple years in the KBO. And, anybody that played that during COVID is familiar with him, played for the NC Dinos, I believe. But no, not a lot of major league data on him. 5.1 implied run total for the Mariners. Not a good park to hit in. So that, mitigates interest a little bit. But we do have a pretty high upside lineup. You have Cal Raleigh as a high upside catcher option. Rodriguez was back yesterday. Kelnick left the game early. If I remember right, it was an ejection, not an injury. So I'm pretty sure he's fine. Ty France, Suarez, Hernandez, all have, power here. So it's a pretty solid spot for Seattle. I do wish it was in a different park, but 8% top stack percentage is 4th, 8% projected ownership. When you have nearly 25% coming into Milwaukee, every other team is sort of like negligible just because they're not Milwaukee.
Right. Jake Lindland sent us a super chat, Adam, asking late to the party, thoughts on Kyle Stowers.
I like him as a value play. He's hitting 5th. He's 2,100. He's got power. Jordan Lyles doesn't miss a lot of bats. Stowers has a lot of swing and miss in his game, but Lyles doesn't miss a lot of bats. It's a hitter who hasn't had a lot of major league success in a very limited sample, but has had a ton of AAA success, including this year. he started out the year with the Orioles, and they realized that they were going to have trouble getting him at bats, so they just sent him back to AAA to get regular at bats. He raked at AAA. Now he's back. Yeah, I mean, he's a $2,100 hitter that at least has power. Most $2,100 hitters, you're like, oh, this guy sucks, or maybe this guy's fast, and if he happens to get on base, he'll steal. Stowers actually has legitimate power, so certainly don't mind getting him as a value play.
Okay, and then Jeff asked about is Verlander limited? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. We think that Verlander is going to be limited. It's a little bit unclear, right? I'm like, they haven't come out and said that
I haven't
that
seen
he's
an
pitching.
official limit. He threw 69 pitches in his rehab start. I would be very surprised if the Mets just say, like, yeah, go throw 100 plus. My
Right.
guess is he's throwing like 80, 85.
Right, but we
Which
just
is
don't
fine.
know.
Like,
Right, yeah.
Verlander is somebody that I think is still playable, even under the assumption that he's limited, because pitching on the slate isn't great, and Verlander's fully capable of just picking up 20 fantasy points in 5 innings and then getting a win, and suddenly he's at 24, and that's certainly a workable score on this slate. It's just that you're not getting any sort of a discount for him probably being limited.
Right. Okay. How do you rank the 4 sides of the Seattle-Oakland game?
Kirby 1, Mariners 2, I guess Rucinski 3, just because he's 5K flat and maybe that matters. A's 4. You could also flip it and make the case that there's a ton of volatility in baseball and the A's could do well. But I guess I would say Rucinski 3 and A's 4, but you could flip that.
All right. By the way, guys, please do, if you have not yet liked the video, I always forget. I always just ask at the beginning and then don't ask again. Please do like the video if you haven't already, and hit the notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Andrew Ortiz asking, what are the Cubs ownership at? I don't think they're particularly...
I think they're around like 10%.
10%, yeah, getting right around 10%. So they look a little bit overowned, but I mean, they're facing Patrick Corbin. Fine spot there. All right. One final game on the slate, and we're going to probably end a little bit early. We're going to have some time. If people have any questions, feel free to throw them our way. Of course, we still have to do our top stacks, top pitchers, home run pick, all that. But yeah, making good time here. Now, final game of the slate, we have Atlanta at Miami. Dylan Dodd on the mound for the Braves. Jesus Luzardo for the Marlins. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Luzardo is first in top stack percent or top pitcher percentage on DraftKings at 20%, 26.5% projected ownership. He's only $8,600. You do have a scary matchup for him against a Braves lineup that has, a lot of power, particularly from the right side. But Luzardo's a former top pitching prospect with Oakland, kind of flamed out there. They sent him to the Marlins in a trade. I don't remember who Oakland got, but they sent him to Miami, and Miami has fixed him. He's been good since coming to Miami. So far this year, striking out 27% of righties and 27% of lefties. He has allowed a 190 expected ISO to righties, only 121 to lefties. Since last year, about a 29% strikeout percentage to righties, 32% to lefties, 152 expected ISO to righties, 115 to lefties. So very, very high upside pitcher. The matchup is scary. He has to deal with Acuna, Riley, Murphy, Albies from the right side. Also Grissom, Ozuna, Pilar from the right side, but you're not as concerned about those guys typically. 4.3 implied run total for the Braves. The game is in Miami, which is a favorable pitcher's park as well. So given the lack of really good pitching on this slate, I do like Luzardo for the upside. I'm a little bit surprised that he's first in, top pitcher percentage, but it's not too shocking given the strikeout stuff that he has. As far as Dylan Dodd goes, Fangraphs has him as the Braves' third best prospect. He's thrown 9 1/3 total major league innings, both starts coming this year. He projects for about a 22% strikeout percentage according to the bat, only about 17% according to Zips. Doesn't look like a great pitcher, at least at this point. And also doesn't look like he's even in the DraftKings player pool, so never mind.
Oh, all right. So we don't have to worry about Dylan Dodd. We do have to worry about the bats. Any interest here, Adam?
Yeah, actually interest in both sides from a tournament standpoint. Tough matchup for the Braves, but also a lot of upside for this team, and you're probably not going to get too much ownership coming in. They are in the middle of the pack in terms of top stack percentage at 4.5%, but only pulling 2.5% ownership. They are expensive, so you'll have to find some value elsewhere. But if you can get to the Braves against a popular Luzardo, I do think that's a good approach in tournaments. On the Miami side, they're coming in with about a 3.5% chance of being the top stack, 6% ownership because they are pretty inexpensive. John Birdie looks like a good value if he's leading off. You have a cheap Segura. Those two, I think, if they're at the top of the order, stand out the most to me. But from an upside standpoint, a little bit more interested in the Atlanta side.
Okay. And then how would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Luzardo, Braves, Marlins.
Okay. Ship Happen says, Neil, you're an undercover Colorado lover. Yeah, I do love Colorado. The only time I've ever been there was on my honeymoon, and it was an incredible week. Went to Denver, went all over the place in Colorado. Went hiking in the mountains. We went to a Coors Field game. Just a really great time. So when you're only experiencing Colorado is your honeymoon, it's probably probably have unreal expectations of what
Right.
Denver would be, but it seems like one of the best places to live out there. It was really cool. Have you
Yeah.
been to Colorado at all, Adam?
I haven't been. I've heard absolutely great things.
Yeah, everywhere we went to, we ended up in Vail. I kept trying to remember even all that. We went to Boulder for a night. Everywhere we went, it was like, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am definitely a Colorado lover. That's one of the places. If I were to move out of Minnesota, which I don't know if I will, my family's here, or most of my family's here. Colorado, definitely one of the places I would consider. So yeah, undercover, I guess. All right, Adam, we have made it through the whole slate. So now we can talk about, starting with, if you're in a 3-entry max, you can enter 3 stacks. Which stacks you go into?
So if you can find ways to offset the ownership, Milwaukee obviously is at the top, but ignoring them, Baltimore, Colorado. I like the Braves as a contrarian team.
Okay. Ryan Stubb says Utah is Colorado plus. I don't buy it. I don't know. I don't know if I would love you. Maybe. I mean, it might be. I have actually heard pretty great things about Utah as well.
I've heard Utah's really pretty. I haven't heard a lot of like living in Utah is great.
Right. I don't know the culture I would enjoy quite as much
Right.
as Colorado. I feel like I would love the culture of Colorado along with everything else. Utah, and I'm probably like, I just think of it as Mormon country, so that's all that I
Right.
know about Utah. So that's what I think of. Maybe it might have better culture than I realize. I have nothing. I've never been to Utah, so nothing against it. Just that's my perception of it. All right. 3 favorite pitchers for a GPP, and then we can also cover cash if answer that question as well.
Yeah, so many guys look similar today. Probably Lopez. No, I don't know. Luzardo, Rodriguez, Kirby. Maybe Luzardo, Giolito, Kirby.
Does it change for cash games for you?
I don't know what I would get in cash. Hang on, let me just try and get an answer to that real quick because I'm actually curious. Because like so many of these pitchers just look similar. I think it more comes down to like what can you fit with the bats than targeting specific pitchers. Looks like in cash for me it would be Kirby, Giolito on DraftKings, maybe Kirby Flaherty.
Ryan says less social fun. I will give you that, but less crime. I mean, Adam lives in Baltimore and I live in St. Paul. We're city people, I think, so we can accept some crime for the better social scene. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Did you give your cash game pitcher?
I don't have like strong preferences, but it looks like I'd be going probably with Kirby and Giolito.
Okay, and then home run pick.
I didn't have when we did normally when we do the show. There's a couple of like stick in my head that I want to use. I'll go Mountcastle.
I was thinking about going Mullins. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll go Mullins. You go Mountcastle. We're going stacking the same team once again. Man, Juan Soto came so close yesterday. He had a bases clearing double. Did not get me the home run though, sadly. All right, so we've done our home run picks. Somebody's asking Charlie Blackmon against left-handed pitchers. How does he fare? Do you know?
Probably not great, but it's also Coors Field. So since the start of the 2021 season, pretty terrible. 335 expected WOBA, 118 expected ISO.
Wex asking weather concerns in Colorado or Oakland today. I'm only able to play the 3-game slate on DK today, but 2 of 3 games look possible weather issues. I don't think we have any huge weather concerns here.
Yeah, nothing too bad. Looks like there's rain around, maybe like a brief late start, but should be fine.
And then, yeah, Oakland, doesn't look like we're expecting any huge issues here. I'm not like building around weather issues. Not a big enough concern for me there. Yeah, we did all the parts of the show that we usually do. Does anybody have a Birdie or Trejo DraftKings? Birdie or Trejo?
I mean, assuming Birdie's leading off, I guess Birdie.
All right, John Purdy, your choice there. All right. If we don't have, I'm sure I missed some questions along the way. I know that we had that weather question was one I wanted to get back to. I think that we answered the questions that people, I mean, in cash games here today, you're probably just playing Milwaukee bats for the most part, right? I imagine it's a lot of Coors Field in the bats.
Yeah, I would think it's primarily Milwaukee given the pricing.
Okay. All right. Well, Adam, anything else? Oh, sorry. Double RS Tampa Bay thoughts.
Yeah, they look good. Velasquez has been a bit better so far this year than in recent years, but Tampa Bay has just hit the shit out of everybody this year. I would like them more if Brandon Lau were in the lineup. He's not, but they still look fine.
Okay. All right, Adam, any where are people going to find you today? Any other thoughts to end the show?
I will have my Bet Pro video coming out shortly. After that, I will be back at 7 Eastern for the NBA deeper dive for tonight's showdown slate.
Wow, so it's a late night, huh?
Yeah, did not find that out until like 2 hours ago.
Nice. Laffy and I did an underdog draft yesterday, and it's still live. So it's for the 2-game slate, the one that started yesterday. The only players we had in yesterday's game were Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams. So kind of, fun to be live going into the second game of this 2-game slate on underdog. I mean, it's a $5 buy-in. We're still, I'm sure there are plenty of lineups in the same spot as us, but kind of fun. But yeah, super late night for the West Coast game. I, of course, have softball tonight. I'm finally going to be able to make my first softball game of the season. But you can find me in 35 minutes. I'm going to be doing a show, a SoRare MLB show with Greg, actually. So we're going to set our lineup for tomorrow. So if you're interested in talking a little bit more SoRare, I got into it just a little bit today, but Greg and I will probably set a lineup, take a look at the upcoming SoRare slate. That is the only other place you're going to find me today. I don't have any other shows tonight. Back tomorrow with NBA live before lock. Back on that night show tomorrow. Of course, all my usual baseball stuff as well tomorrow. Neil is my home run call then. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys very much for watching. Looks like we have got all, if you have not yet hit the like button, please do so. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. But again, come back in 35 minutes. I'll be talking with Greg about some SoRare MLB. So we can, if you're interested a little bit, we'll talk about it, get you set up. If you have any questions, happy to answer there. And anyway, good luck on the slate. Let's get those lineups in.